Greg, we're glad you're here. Thank you. A flurry of activity coming out of Washington, D.C. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell putting together a plan to avert a government shutdown after Democrats refused to budge on funding a border wall. Also, President Trump scoring a big win after the Senate overwhelmingly passes a criminal justice reform bill. He's ready to sign it into law once he moves through the House. And President Trump declaring victory internationally here against ISIS in Syria in a tweet and announcing that 2,000 American troops will be withdrawing very soon. All of this, of course, happening as Democrats prepare an onslaught of investigations into President Trump and his administration. Dana, I'll start with you. This feels like a muddy moment. So
it's like the end of the year, get everything done type thing?
Very much so. So you've got this transition of power. You've got the president saying he wants a wall. He's going to shut it down if he doesn't get it. Now we're seeing a CR into February when Nancy Pelosi will be the Speaker of the House.
Yep.
Prison reform bill passes, but overwhelmingly bipartisan. And then this declaration that, hey, we've defeated ISIS. Time to leave Syria. A lot of questions about where that came from and how quickly that'll happen. What do you make of this dust cloud?
I'm going to take them one by one if I could, because I think there's some logic to them.
I prefer that you don't do it all at once.
Just like in one big paragraph?
Yes.
No parentheses, no commas, anything like, okay, I'll give that a shot right now. Okay, on the wall funding, I think that this is just a nod to reality. It was going to be very difficult to do this without having a shutdown of the government. I think the president didn't want that distraction over the next 2 weeks. It wasn't going to be possible to get the $5 billion. And I think that they just realized that we're going to have this fight another time. And it is just reality that
Why do you want to have it when the Democrats are in charge?
Well, just because they weren't going to be able to do it now. So it's almost like if he gave the direction to the agencies, like, let me know what money you have available. We might be able to reprogram it. Of course, the Congress is saying maybe you can't do that. But it sort of is like you can argue it round or argue it flat, because the Democrats are not saying they are not for any border security. They would be for border security. They just don't want him to call it the wall.
Yeah, why
it's
are
just
cameras
semantics
and fence moral, but a wall isn't?
Right. So there is that. And then on criminal justice reform, this is a big win for him. And sometimes Republican presidents can get things done that Democrats can't. This is a bill that was stalled during the Obama administration. It could not get through the Republican Senate. But President Trump put his shoulder behind it. So did Jared Kushner. But also give a hand to the Democrats who said we want to work with him. It's that important. Sometimes issues take so long to work its way through, and the public has to come along. It takes a little while to do that. This is a big win, and it will help a lot of people. So that's good. On ISIS, I think that one it's certainly the president's prerogative. It does seem curious. I think we'll probably hear a lot more about it, and I hope he's right. But
yeah, I think we all hope he's right.
Experience has shown us it's not true.
If ISIS has been decimated, but if you were not there, Iran still is, Turkey still is, Russia still is.
And so then all of your other priorities get a little bit washed up.
Don't you think it's interesting, though, that so much he's pulling out this libertarian muscle all of a sudden with the criminal justice reform? Everyone was saying, oh, that reflects that the libertarian wing of the Republican Party is strong. Also, when you talk about Syria withdrawing the troops, I think it was a different side of him, and it was a side that he campaigned heavily on. I remember when he was campaigning, hearing him talk about, his involvement in potential war, or that was something. I have a strong libertarian streak that kind of attracted me to him, and I wonder if that part of the party, the Rand Pauls, the Mike Lees, have put a little bit of pressure on him to not go so hawkish and to try to get some of these things done that they feel will appeal more to not only them, but also to independent voters, to people in the center, to younger voters. As he looks forward to, his next run, he's going to need a lot of those people in the middle who might be attracted to policies like this.
It will be a nice thing for him to be able to say in 2020, hey, we passed criminal justice reform. I'm the president for everybody, the forgotten men and women in prison, too, who had sentences that didn't fit the crime. Is this a win? Is this the win for the president on that issue?
Yeah, it's interesting to me because from what we hear, Jared Kushner has been the guy who's putting himself out there. I think a lot of people feel as if they've been talking and just stumped by the presence of Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, who refused to move on this, and then Mitch McConnell, who wouldn't call a vote. Mitch McConnell changed his mind and went along, but the president and the White House have been in favor of this all along. And so, yes, in that sense, you could say it's a win for the president.
Do you feel like Democrats, are they finding a groove? We talked about these investigations. Is that going to be what they're sort of known for in 2019 as we look forward into the new year? Are they going to focus on any legislation, or it will? I mean, the list of investigations: Trump's tax returns, tax organization, his business interests, Ryan Zinke, members of his cabinet. Elijah Cummings sent 51 letters to the White House recently, demanding that by middle of January there's answers on all this stuff. What will define Democrats in the new year?
Well, I think for Democrats, it will be all about trying to get something done. But I think this will be a part of it because so much of everything we talk about, Pete, is President Trump. And right now, his troubles are mounting. I mean, the closing of his foundation here, so much of it is just everything Trump is news. But in fact, I think what you're going to see, especially from Nancy Pelosi and House leadership, is an emphasis on showing voters that, guess what, our party is able to succeed and to reach solutions, get things done for you. Like, for instance, when we talk about this wall, I mean, President Trump said, oh, you know what, Mexico's going to pay for it. That's what he campaigned on, right? Then he said, oh, the military will build it, right? And then he said, oh, no, I'll find the money. We're going to get the... And obviously, it was never going to get done.
Well, I don't think that was an obvious, but I mean, I think you're pointing out. No, I think you're pointing out some fair moments where that has been hedged upon.
But I will say this to you. On Syria, I am stunned. It looks to me like we have flipped identities. The Republicans are the ones, Lindsey Graham and others, saying this is a huge Obama-like mistake. And then you go and you listen to the
Democrats. Well, at least they're consistent.
I'm sorry?
I mean, at least they're consistent.
Lindsey Graham is consistent on this issue.
But then you hear people, I'm looking to hear Ted Lieu, the congressman from California, Robert Ford, who was Obama's first ambassador to Syria, saying U.S. has no national interest. But I think it's obvious that the Iranians and the Russians continue to prop up Bashar al-Assad. And we remember Trump going after the red line and all that. And we still have troops in Afghanistan and elsewhere. I don't understand what he's doing.
Well, no, this is remember during the campaign, he ran on, we've been nation building in the Middle East for too long. It's time to come home. This is an extension of that. The question is, who fills that vacuum? And Greg, I want to go to you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're right.
I was ready to go get a glass of water.
Dana said the wall. Is it a nod to reality, or is that a compromise? Did he give in to Nancy Pelosi? Are they winning on this?
I don't know. Too soon to tell. I want to take all of these issues separately. Okay. Number one.
I want you to put them all together.
No, I'm going to put them. Damn it! I'm going to put them. Number one. We all think this is big news because the really big news isn't happening, which means the country's in pretty good condition. We have low crime. We have a lot of optimism. So now we have all these little things. And the reason why it's all about Trump is because the media makes it all about Trump. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If there was no Trump, God help us all, right? What would we be talking about? Anyway, prison reform, okay? I kind of get the sense that this is the miscongeniality award. Right? This is like, oh, finally something good. I have mixed feelings about this. I look and I think we're into our 4th decade of decline in violent crime. This is the safest society known to mankind. Do you necessarily reform something that is this successful? Having said that, I read the reforms. I think they're fairly moderate. I don't see anything. It's affecting 10%. Federal inmates, 10% of the prison population. It's focusing on a portion of that. There's like 2,500 other prisoners that can apply for some kind of early release. So it's actually fairly small steps. The key is the training, right? To get inmates to learn something so that when they get out of prison, they don't end up back in prison. And I think that's an important piece to this, and that's the positive part about this. But my overall observation on this is, you got criminal justice reform. You got actual gun control. He banned bump stocks. We're pulling out of Syria. The deficit keeps growing. I'm pretty sure we have a progressive in office. I mean, he said this 3 years ago. Trump is a centrist. He's a pragmatist. You can't guess which way he's going to go. He's not an ideologue, and it's weird to see the Democrats back to the wall. It's weird to see the Democrats not cooperating with this guy when he did prison reform, right? When he's pulling out of Syria. He wants the wall. What will he give you? He will give you what you want. So it's clearly about being an obstructionist. That's the Democrats.
Yeah,
well, the Democrats are the wall.
Are you kidding? After Obama, you now are going to say that it's the Democrats who are obstruction?
Yes.
That takes a lot of power.
I think you're right, though. I think he proves that he is willing to reach across the aisle. And
Syria might be part of that, too.
If you listened to him campaigning back in the day, this is the stuff he was saying. Everybody wants to paint him as an extremist because when it comes to the issue of immigration, he's really hard on the wall and then securing the border. But on other issues, he will find middle ground.
I thought he said he was going to get rid of the deficit, which has skyrocketed.
The House Freedom Caucus will be on the floor tonight saying no deal on the wall here is a bad deal for the president.
Trump is flipping people in their beliefs. So you have Democrats complaining about the deficit and Republicans complaining about.
They did that to George Bush.
Yeah.
It just matters who's like whichever president's in power, the out party.
Yeah, I just think that the old news is you run to the right, govern in the middle. Clinton ran to the left, and he governed in the middle. That's what's happening.
We'll see. But the Syria one's a big one. Keep your eyes on that.
I'll respond to that.
That's going to be on him.
It just may be that he was like this with Iraq. He is stingy about American bloodshed.
Yeah. Well, and for good reason.
Yes.
How long have we been in Afghanistan? Oh.
Wait for that.
That
That announcement's coming.
That's right.
Yeah.